Hello, and welcome to the League One prediction show from the On Sport podcast. I'm Craig Savage. With me, as always, is Mr. Daniel Cody. League One is where 24 teams decide who wants to go to the fifth best league in Europe, the hardest league in Europe, the Championship. And we're here to decide who will be in the top two, who will be in the playoffs, who's going to win the playoffs, and who are the unfortunate four that get relegated to League Two. So we're going to start off with the relegation candidates, and we're going to start bottom. So Daniel Cody, 24th place.
This is one of those where it becomes very difficult the time we're recording this, because with the early start to the season, 5 weeks to go in the transfer window, it's easy to make prejudgments on teams. And I've done that with the side I've got to finish bottom. It is one of last year's promoted teams. And at the time of recording, which for the general public is the 20th of July, they are the only team in the top four leagues in England not to have made a signing. So in bottom place, I'm going for Exeter City, unfortunately, to return to League Two. They've not signed anyone. They've lost a few players, albeit not key ones. And look, I know last year we did it. We made the same mistake with Cambridge and Cheltenham, but Exeter bottom spot because it's too strong a league.
I'm going to go for Forest Green to finish 24th. Losing your manager is not ideal. Losing one of your best players is not ideal. The other best player is injured for a long time, so that's not ideal. I just think it's a step too far for the Forest Green. It's a very small club, small ground in itself. They've done remarkably well over the last few seasons, but I think this is one step too far. So I'm going for Forest Green in 24th. 23rd.
My other three are very close. I'm going to go for Forest Green in 23rd. Same thing you mentioned, really. It's upheaval from the start of the summer with the Rob Edwards saga with Watford. We know all about that, and I'm sure Watford will pop up in the Championship one. Lost so many key players already, and although they've made some good signings, they'll play some lovely football under Ian Birchnell. I don't really think it's the right appointment. I saw him in the big games with Notts County. I watched quite a lot of the National League, and they sort of flattered to deceive when it came to the big occasions. They played lovely football against some of the bottom sides and then struggled in the big moments. You mentioned the front two scored goals galore for them this year. Are they going to be able to step up again? You mentioned the injury obviously affecting players, key players as well. And you're asking a lot for people to step up. So for me, Forest Green 23rd. I'd like to see them do well, but I realistically don't think it's going to happen.
23rd for me is Morecambe.
I knew you'd go for them.
Mine are quite obvious. Yeah, Morecambe for me, obviously they've done very well to survive last season. Steve Robinson left to go back up to Scotland, and then Derek Adams, who should never have left in the first place, came back and got them above the relegation line. They've done really well to done that, but second season syndrome in a way. You might have done it for the Championship ones, I don't know. But I just feel that it's probably another step too far for them. Second season is always going to be a tougher one. But yeah, I'm going to have Morecambe for 23rd. 22nd.
I just have Morecambe to miss out, so they're not in my bottom four. I will reveal that. 22nd, I've gone for a different second season syndrome, and it's a team I went for last year. I'm going for Cheltenham. And similar story to Forest Green, really. Lost their manager who worked absolute wonders at the club in Michael Duff. He's obviously up the league now with Barnsley. Signed a lot of younger players this summer. I just don't think they've got enough. And I know last year it came back to bite me on the backside, but to lose your skipper the first year, to lose your manager the second year, they've appointed Wade Elliott, someone without managerial experience. There's too many risks that could go wrong for me. And I think as a result of that, over the other sides I'll mention in a minute, we're 21st. I'm just going for them to go down.
I've also gone for Cheltenham for 22nd place. I think Michael Duff leaving the club is a hammer blow for them, and they have achieved as well. I think. Yeah. Don't get me wrong, they're a good side, Cheltenham. They played some really good stuff. They got the long throw. Well, they still had the long throw. They still worked that to perfection. But like Morecambe, that second season syndrome will come to bite them in the backside. With a pretty small budget for what the higher up League One clubs that we've got in this league again this season, it just won't be enough. So yeah, for me, Cheltenham for 22nd, 21st.
So tight this one. So I've got 5 or 6 in the mix. I'm going from 16th down or in trouble. So I've got Fleetwood, who survived in goal difference last year just to survive. Scott Brown's come in there. They've lost their midfield, but they've signed well at fullback and got a good young striker in. Cambridge just to survive purely because they've kept their manager, unlike Cheltenham. Bristol Rovers with Joey Barton and his new long-term deal and their big final day turnaround just to survive. Morecambe just to survive. And in 20th place, just surviving, who I think might be your next one, Accrington and Stanley. So in 21st place, I have gone for another promoted club, playoff winners Port Vale. Look, they did brilliantly to come up. They've got a chance if the front line are firing again. They have got goals in the team, which is the only thing that made me think maybe not. And they have got a big fan base they can get behind them if things are firing and going well. I think it's going to be tough in a strong league, though. I love Darryl Clark as a coach. I think if anyone can keep them up, it's him. But they've not done enough work yet in the window. They've not done enough. They can change that in the last 5 weeks. 2 good signings. I'd probably edge them above Accrington. But for now, Port Vale 21st, even though I know in 5 weeks I might regret it.
So I've gone for Fleetwood for 21st. I do not expect Scott Brown to do well. I really don't.
I think he'll do all right, to be honest.
He might go classic mid-90s, late 90s style of football, I feel. Get into their faces, you throw them into the ground if you wanted to. The game against Bristol Rovers will be quite interesting because that's Joey Barton, a bit of a Celtic Rangers connection, and Barton used to manage Fleetwood as well, so we have to keep an eye on that one. New to the coaching experience as well, first new job like Wade Elliott as well, and he doesn't know England either because he's never been in English football, so it's a tough one to go. It's a tough gig for Scott Brown, and that's why I'm going for 21st. Right, let's move up the table. Let's get to the playoffs. Let's start with 6th spot.
Right, so same again, a bit like League Two in a championship. Loads of teams close for the last couple of spots. Again, pretty similar. I've got my top 4 fairly nailed on. I've got anywhere down to 11th potentially making it, but missing out in that order, I've got MK because they've lost too many players down in 11th. Oxford in 10th because similar to last year, steady but not enough depth. Barnsley in 9th because although they've got Norwood, they've lost their whole strike force essentially to Luton Town. 8th place, Charlton, because Ben Garner's taken half of Swindon with him, and that's a bit much of a risk for a step up. 7th place, and you're going to be surprised I've not put them in the top 6, Wickham, because they've not really added any, and they've lost a couple of experienced players. I just don't think they're quite going to have enough. In 6th place, I've gone for a team that finished better under a new coach last year. I've gone for Ipswich Town just to sneak into the top 6. I had them second last year. They let me down massively, but they finished well under new management. They've added some good players into the squad. They had a good core there already. They've kept hold of the likes of Christian Walton in goal. They've got a good spine of the team. They bought Harness in from Pompey, who can be a real game changer on his day. Just 6th place, because I don't think they're going to be consistent enough, but they'll be in the top 6 for me. Them or Wickham.
I've gone for Bolton in 6th.
They've done nothing this summer, though.
I don't know why I've gone for them for 6th. I've literally just wrote it down, and I might regret them going for 6th. They're either going to make finish 6th or become 13th. Bolton.
I've got them in 13th out of curiosity.
There you go.
Exactly
That's how I think Bolton will do this season. I think that I've just going for them sneak it. Bolton 6th. Moving on, let's get to 5th.
I thought about doing a wild one, as you did with Burton last year.
That didn't go well at all.
No, I know. And I almost went for Shrewsbury because they've signed incredibly well. But I've left them out. I've put them down in 14th in the end after a rejig. So in 5th place, I've gone for the side that I tipped to get relegated above Crewe last year when it was coming down to a flip of a coin. And they missed out on the playoffs on the final day of last season after getting battered by MK Dons. I've gone for Plymouth. They were shocking on the last day of last season, which cost them their place. But they didn't fall away after losing Ryan Lowe. A lot of the Plymouth fans said to us, Schumacher's a good replacement. And you know what? They called it brilliantly. He's been absolutely excellent. I really like what they've done this summer. They've added real quality to the squad. They've got a couple of youngsters, the likes of Azaz. Miller's come in from Rotherham. Butcher's coming in centre midfield. They haven't lost too many. They've added a bit of squad depth. For me, they get over the line. They get into the playoffs this year. Whether they win it is a very different question, but to see Plymouth in the top 6 would be great because they're a brilliantly supported club.
I've gone for Wickham in 5th, and it's just their style.
You've got Wickham above me. It's a miracle.
After all the drama, I've slagged off Wickham. I've gone for Wickham 5th. Experience. They have still got experience. I know lost Akinfenwa, he's obviously retired. David Stockdale in goal, he's obviously moved on. But they've still got enough quality in that Wickham side. There are people like Joe Jacobson. What a player Joe Jacobson is, by the way. What a man. That last-ditch tackle in the playoffs, that won me over.
Won you over.
It won me over. Great tackle. Sam Vokes up top. Very good, experienced players. And I feel like they can Tafazoli as well, another good player. I think that's what and their style of football gets them going, and that's what gets results for them. So I expect that style of football to still be up around that League One playoff spot, but they won't win it. They didn't win it last season. I don't expect them to win it again this season. So, but they'll be in there. Let's get to fourth.
So fourth and third, I'm umming and ahhing about which way round they'll be. My top two are clear. These two are clear of the rest. I'm going for Pompey in fourth. Now, I made the mistake of having them to win the league last year. Another one of my a year too soon predictions, which are getting quite famous on these channels now. But the rebuild continues under the Cowleys. They've added experience. They brought Marlon Pack back after a number of years away. Joe Rafferty's coming at fullback, experienced pro from Preston. The interesting one is Joe Pigott on loan, because Pompey's issue last year was largely goals. Marcus Harness was the top scorer, but didn't get that many. I know they've lost him. But I wonder if Joe Pigott just suits that style a bit better. You remember Lincoln with
Tall
Matt
lad.
Reed? Exactly.
Tall lad.
Huddersfield, they relied on target men as well. So I just think that could be one that works for them. If he finds form, absolutely great. I'm tipping them for the top 6. They were the joint lowest scorers in the top 10 last year. So I'm maybe misguided in placing my hopes on Joe Pigott, having seen him on loan at Luton many, many years ago. But I'm going for them in fourth, just because I don't actually think a lot of the sides in that top half, the big sides on paper, are as strong as they were last year. But if they have a poor year, opens the door for Wickham, doesn't it?
Portsmouth are not in my top 6.
Wow.
I'm going for Peterborough to finish fourth. Grant McCann obviously took over second half of last season, and they played pretty well when he took over. So you went to watch them against Luton, and they should have really won that game. And they had that momentum near the end of the season that they could have, if they had an extra 4 games, they might have actually snuck out of the relegation zone. But they got still people like Johnson Clark Harris. They still got people like Jack Marriott. Them two will get goals in League One. I'm worried about the defence a little bit and the keeper. I'm worried about that at the moment. But going forward, I know George Grant as well, but Clark Harris and Marriott, they're going to score goals for fun in League One. So that's me. Them in fourth. Third place.
Third place is the developing story of the summer, Derby County and Liam Rosenior. Look.
For now.
This is one that's hard to predict again, with it being an earlier start to the season this year. The players they've signed in the last few weeks are exceptional for League One. There's no doubt about that. The few players they've had left and got signed up are great. They've lost a lot of young players and replaced it with a lot of experience. Is that going to be telling over a 46-game season? We don't know. Or a 48 or 49-game season, as I'm predicting. I think Liam Rosenior is a really highly regarded coach. Of course, for a long time, betting was suspended on him becoming the Blackpool manager, so there was obviously interest from a higher level. They've had the Wayne Rooney saga. They've had the delays from the takeover saga, but we're there now. Most importantly, they've got a club to support, and as long as they stay up, they shouldn't really care where they are this year. But if they can get a supply line to James Collins, who we know well from Luton in League One, and David McGoldrick, who is a fabulous link-up player, they are going to be a proper handful at this level. We know how many goals Collins can score. We know how well McGoldrick can link play. They've got the likes of Horahan in the middle, is a stunning player at League One level, was linked with League One Championship playoff side from last year. Bart Hazen's a quality player. It's a test for an inexperienced manager, though, to gel so many new signings together so quickly. It's virtually a new squad. I wonder if the start to the season will maybe just leave them a bit too much to do, but I'm going to say they get into the playoffs. They'll leave too much for the top 2. But of course, the next month could change that again. Third place, Derby County.
I've also gone Derby for third. There's a lot of experience. They needed that a little bit. You've just to obviously rotate, because they're not going to do Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday, Tuesday. They can't do 3 games of the week, most of the side. But it's a clean slate for Derby now. After the shambles of the last year and a half, it's a clean slate for them. They've got the takeover done. It's not who we all expected it was, but good. They survived. Now they need to knuckle down, get on with business, and get back to the Championship. If they don't start well, it's going to be a lot of pressure, because Derby's Derby. It's high expectation. I don't think it'd be enough for them to be in the top 2, because they all got the gel, but they've got some really good players. James Collins, last time he was in League One, he was scoring 30 goals, and Luton won the league. So Derby got a really good chance. Glad they're a club, but playoffs for me.
And Pride Park will be rocking packed at the start of the season.
30,000 every week. But is Derby the side you picked to get promoted through the playoffs? Yes or no?
It's the one thing in my preparation for all 3 leagues prediction shows that I couldn't decide at the time, because the winner of the playoffs for me comes from this tie, which is Derby Ipswich, 3rd v 6th. But there's something about it that tells me Ipswich might win that tie. So I'm going to go for Ipswich to sneak past Derby in the playoffs. That's on pure instinct, but it could go either way. Whichever team wins, that goes up. Pompey v Plymouth. I actually think Plymouth will do it. And then I'm going to go for Ipswich to beat Plymouth in a 5th v 6 final.
Oh.
Same as last year, isn't it? 5th v 6 in a final. Ipswich to go up from 6th place and return to the championship.
I've got Derby v Bolton. I think Derby will win that one. Peterborough v Wickham is an interesting tie.
Battle of the Styles.
Battle of the Styles. I think Peterborough might sneak that. So that means Derby or Peterborough. Grant McCann's got a good record with Peterborough. He did take him up as a player. I'm going to go for Peterborough to shock Wembley by beating Derby in the final. And that's my controversial pick. Because Derby's the fairy tale story. It's Derby. But so was Sunderland. So there you go. Right, let's get to the top two. Starting with 2nd place.
Well, in my world, Peterborough aren't going to need the playoffs or Wembley because they're going to finish in 2nd place. They've not lost as many stars as other years when they've come down. They've managed to hold on to some of their younger ones, partly because they had some injury troubles last season among them. We know Johnson Clark-Harris will score bundles at this level. He did it last time when they went up. Can Marriott and Ricky J. Jones stay fit to support him? If so, goals galore again. Schmodix is probably going to be one of the players of the season in League One. He normally is when he plays at this level. They've just got too much firepower to not go up, in my opinion. I look at all the other clubs below, and I know Collins could get firing. I know Piggott could get firing, but there's goals everywhere in that Peterborough team at this level. And I just think their annual swap with Rotherham will probably continue based on what we've seen in recent years. So Peterborough up. That gives you a little sneak preview for tomorrow.
Actually, my top two is the same top two from last season. I'm sticking with it. I'm going Ipswich for 2nd spot. They actually played some good football, Ipswich, once Kieran McKenna got in, replacing Paul Cook. Bought well as well over the summer. So they'll be up there. I really do think that it's if they can get Portman Road bouncing, like and I said, like Pride Park being bouncing, yeah, I think they'll be all right. Ipswich, they just need to be. They haven't really challenged since they've actually been in League One. So yeah, I think it'll be this. This will be the season, first full season under management for Kieran McKenna. So I think they'll be all right. Who have you got to win it? And I think I know, looking at this, who you've got to win it.
Well, I think based on what we've done for the playoff winners, we've got the same 3 teams to go up in, albeit in a different way. Because in top spot, and I can't see how you would see past them based on what they've got, is Sheffield Wednesday. On paper, it is the clearest thing. The problem is it's League One and football's not played on paper, as we've seen many times in recent years. But look, I cannot see past them. They came really strong towards the end of last season when their squad settled down. They almost made the playoff final. Of course, it was late heartbreak in the semis at Hillsborough. They've added quality throughout the spine of the team. They've added Will Vauxx, which will give them the long throw speciality as well. He's got one of the best ones in the EFL. They've added one of the best target men in the EFL in Michael Smith, who was one of the top scorers in League One last year for Rotherham. What a signing that is, by the way. They nicked one of their promotion-winning centre-halves as well, Rotherham. It's just a fantastic spine of the team they've built. They nearly made it last year. They're one of the strongest teams on paper then. They're definitely the strongest on paper now. Darren Moore, I've got admiration for. He's fully fit. He's in full health, which is great to see after his scare the summer previous. They have to win it. And I think that they potentially run away with it. It's just whether Posh can keep up with their firepower. But Sheffield Wednesday, title winners for me. And I think, Craig Savage, title winners for you as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, Sheffield Wednesday winning for me. It's not just obviously all that firepower, obviously all the Rotherham players that they bought. Obviously, they've got David Stockdale, very experienced goalkeeper. Obviously, at Wickham, got to the playoff final last season, pretty much helped Wickham get to the playoff final and then had a bit of a bad time at the final. But don't matter. But he's a very good goalkeeper. Have to go up this season, Sheffield Wednesday. It took Sunderland a while. Sheffield Wednesday now been in second season now since they've been back relegated. Same with Ipswich, they've been there for a couple of seasons now. They have to do this season. So Sheffield Wednesday for me to win League One. Let's have a quick recap what we have predicted for League One this season. Daniel Cody has gone for Sheffield Wednesday to win it, with Peterborough in second place, Derby third, Portsmouth fourth, Plymouth fifth, and Ipswich sixth for the playoffs. And he's gone for Ipswich in sixth to win the playoffs. I've gone for Derby, Peterborough, Wickham, and Bolton, with Peterborough winning the playoff final. And in the relegation zone, Daniel Cody's gone for Port Vale, Cheltenham, Forest Green, and Exeter. I've gone for Fleetwood, Cheltenham, Morecambe, and Forest Green. And that is our predictions for League One. Do you agree with us or disagree with us? Let us know in the comments and give us your predictions for this season coming up. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the Honest Football Podcast. You can join us, be a member. Click the join button down below. You can follow us on Twitter at Honest Football Free. And we'll see you next time.